Welcome in all. We'll get started here in just a moment. We're going to let folks sign in and fill out our poll. We invite you to fill out our welcome poll so that we can get to know you a little bit better. We will get into the material here in just a moment. Okay, we're going to go ahead and get started. Thank you all so much for joining us today and filling out our poll. We appreciate that. Before we get started, we want to welcome you. My name is Matt Dietrich. I'm the Assistant Director of Admissions at the Penn State School of International Affairs. My colleague Christy Percio is here. She's the Director of Admissions. She'll mostly be in the chat today, answering your questions as we go along. Just a few housekeeping items before we jump into the presentation. We'd love to hear your questions throughout our time today, but we do ask that you please use the Q&A box to ask those questions. That helps us kind of systematically get through your questions. We can answer them as you ask them. And sometimes if you use the chat, it can get lost. Feel free to use the chat to introduce yourself if you'd like, but the Q&A box really is reserved for your questions. You can ask questions throughout our entire time today, and we will get to those questions as soon as we can. But we also have a time at the end to answer your questions in bulk, kind of in a live way. So feel free to wait until the end as well. It's completely up to you. You can also ask your questions anonymously in case that is important to you as well. A final piece is that today, we are going through our best practices in applying to graduate school webinar. We will focus on applying to our program, the Master of International Affairs, although some of the tips and tricks and skills that you'll learn from today can be transferable, but please know that we do bias our application. So if you're not applying to our program, we still welcome you to stick around. And if you are applying to our program, of course, we are giving you some really great details on how to best put together the best application for admission to our program. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get into it. Oh, my final piece is that because we do represent the Master of International Affairs degree, we can't talk about any other program here at Penn State. Some of you may be interested in other programs at Penn State that is not a Master of International Affairs. Unfortunately, we would just not be able to help you. We may be able to give very, very, very general advice or point you in the right direction, but please reserve your questions to the best of your ability towards the master's degree in international affairs. All right. So again, without further ado, let's hop in. First, we're going to go over a little bit about our program. Some of you may have joined us in a previous webinar where we really just go through our program and discuss that at length. But today, some of you may have not been to those. So we're just going to briefly go over just some quick, fast facts about SIA. First, we offer a professional master's degree in international affairs. It is different than an academic degree where you're really being trained to be a researcher and an academic post-graduation. Our program is designed to help students get the skills that they need to get a job in international affairs or an international policy field post-graduation. We're a member of the Association of Professional Schools of International Affairs. Really, what this means is that we are in the consortium of accredited schools of international affairs. We're one of about 70 schools, one of about 40 full-time members within APSIA, and we're really proud to be a part of this. It just shows that we have a rigorous international affairs degree program that prepares students for careers in international affairs. We've been through a rigorous set of standards and reviews to ensure that we meet the kind of qualifications to be a part of this consortium. We offer an interdisciplinary, flexible, and customizable curriculum. You can choose one of 12 concentrations or completely create your own by taking classes across the university and many other departments in a limited way. We also offer education abroad here at the university. So when it comes to forming a concentration or doing regional or language studies, you can do education abroad through our program, and we're happy to offer that to our graduate students. We also have elite experienced faculty here at the School of International Affairs, folks who have worked in the Department of Defense, the State Department, the White House, other federal government agencies within the United States. We also have foreign diplomats. We have an Italian ambassador to the Dominican Republic who teaches in our core faculty, but we also have top scholars in economics, sociology, agriculture, gender and women's studies, media, and sustainability, and more. We also have an over 90% career attainment rate within 1 year of graduation. Right now, it's at a 93.6% career attainment rate. And really this just speaks to the quality, not only of our faculty and staff, as well as programming, but also our awesome students every single year who are really just putting their nose to the grind and working really hard to be successful in our program and beyond. All right, so now we're going to go into why you're here today. We're going to go through our application, kind of go step by step in really the big parts of the application, give you some really good tips, and then hopefully answer some questions for you. First, we need to go over our very important deadlines. The deadline to be considered for merit-based scholarships for fall 2026 is December 31st of 2025, just a few short weeks away, 2 weeks away rather. So please make sure that you are applying as soon as you can. Many of you are probably already on our distribution list, our email list, and you have a fee waiver code so that you can save money on the application. We hope that you will apply very soon, and I will emphasize this throughout the entire webinar today. So please make sure you're working diligently on applying, especially to give your recommenders time to complete their portion of the application for you by the deadline. The final deadline for admission is February 15th of 2026. If you apply by this time, we can't guarantee scholarships, and seats will be available, or seats may not be available. So we can't guarantee admission or scholarships. There may be some seats available, but scholarships will have run out, especially to those who have applied by the 31st. If you apply after February 15th, this will just be dependent upon seat availability, and we won't have scholarships available. So please make sure, again, December 31st, and then we will continue to emphasize this so you will not be confused on that front. Just quickly going through how we apply before we kind of tear the application apart and go bit by bit. First, you want to go onto our website. For any program that you are applying to, you want to go to their website. For us, we're very transparent. All of our application requirements are right on the website. We don't try to make this any harder than it has to be. We're very transparent in that way. So please make sure you are doing that first. If you miss anything today, based on what I'm saying, you can go back to our YouTube channel. The archived webinars and rewatch them on demand. You can also go on our website to read through all of the application requirements if you need to. So the application requirements include a current resume or CV, a copy of your official transcripts, the statement of purpose, the contact information for two recommenders, completion of the supplemental questions at the end of the application. We call them program specific questions. If you're an international applicant, we do need proof of English proficiency by IELTS or TOEFL. We cannot take Duolingo English test exam scores, and there are no exemptions for the English proficiency exam unless you are from a country that Penn State has deemed predominantly English speaking. And you must have a conferred bachelor's degree, which is comparable to a 4-year bachelor's degree. All right. I went through that really fast, mostly because we are going to really break down the application by its parts and go through tips and tricks on how to put together a really solid app. So first, we're going to start out with our statement of purpose. The statement of purpose for us is the most important piece of the application. For many other graduate programs, this is also probably the most scrutinized aspect of the application. Why? Because this gives you a chance to really showcase what you've done, but also the intangibles that can't be easily seen on your resume. The statement of purpose really is an inference or a read in between the lines of what you've done on your resume. The resume is really just a snapshot of the things that you've participated in and what you did at those within those activities or experiences. For us, we have one prompt with very specific instructions. So you want to ensure that you are following those instructions clearly and thoroughly. Our statement of purpose isn't a book or a dissertation. It's kind of cover letter style. So make sure that you're just following the instructions so that you can write a really good statement of purpose. A typical statement of purpose is 600 to 800 words. Again, it's like cover letter style specifically for us. Other programs may call this a personal essay or a letter of intent. And typically, you will not see something like this more than 1,000 words, particularly for professional degree programs such as ours. We do want to see you keep it in the 600 to 800 word range. If you write more than that, that's okay. Just remember the admissions committee does have to read hundreds of these. So you want to make sure that you're just doing them a service and not writing them a book. And you really don't need to anyway. It's about conciseness and getting to the point. If you write less than 600 words, that does not look very good. So just try to stay within that range. Again, this is also a chance to showcase your writing ability, but also the command of the English language. And this goes for everybody, not just international applicants, but the statement of purpose does allow you to show that you are able to write with solid, sound grammar and spelling and punctuation and logically flow, and not just kind of writing something where all of the ideas are just kind of scattered throughout. So make sure that you're writing a really good essay and doing yourself a service of really showing that you're capable of taking on higher level learning, particularly a graduate school program. So now I'm going to go through some really clear do's and do nots when it comes to the statement of purpose. First, you want to pick a prompt and stick with it. Some programs are going to have multiple prompts. Our program, we only have one prompt, so it's not like you can choose anything else. If you decide to write something that doesn't really follow our prompt, that's not a great idea. So just make sure that you are just following the instructions. Really, there's no tricks here. We're really not looking for anything that we're not asking for. You want to show the admissions committee that Penn State is your top choice. We know that you're probably going to apply to many other graduate programs. That's totally fine. You should do that. But we want to know that we're kind of the apple of your eye. And the statement of purpose is the way that you do this. And I think I'll talk a little bit about this here soon. But to give you kind of an appetizer, you want to be able to showcase that you've done your homework on our program. whether you talk about professors or classes or concentrations or something like that within your statement of purpose, that's going to show us that you're not just copying and pasting statements of purpose from other programs for ours, but that we're really the focus of your future endeavors, and we're kind of that stepping stone to your career. To go into that, you definitely want to include information on concentrations, classes, professors, opportunities at SIA. Go through our news feed, go through our social media, look through these types of materials, and you'll see that we do more than just go to class. Right? We have international affairs discussions. We do community building events. Our student government association puts on trivia and other types of student events that may be interesting to you. Now, we do want to really just focus on how our academics going to prepare you for the career that you want to go into. But if you kind of sprinkle in some of these other ideas because they're really fascinating to you and they provide a unique aspect of our program that may not be found at other programs, feel free to include that as well. In the statement of purpose, there are three main things that you want to include. Your motivation for attending graduate program. This could include a class that you took, an experience that you had. This could include, sometimes I've seen students write about how they grew up in multiracial, multi-ethnic homes, and international affairs was at the dinner table every single night. Or other events that took place in your life that really caused you to begin to think about how do you want to change the world through international affairs. Now, going on a spring break trip to Cancun sounds like a lot of fun, but it's probably not appropriate to say that you just want to travel because you went on a spring break trip to Cancun over during your undergrad, and you really enjoyed, eating the food there or whatever the case is. And I'm not picking on Cancun, but it has come up in the past. So we want to make sure that you have a real reason why you want to get a degree in international affairs, not that you just want to travel the world and get a job like a social media influencer to travel the world and see it. And this is the program for you. We're not really designed to assist in your vacation interests. We're really designed to help make sure that you have the skills that you need to change the world through international organizations and institutions, governments, nonprofits, and NGOs, these types of things. So make sure that you are displaying that you are a serious candidate, and you can do that through the motivation. We also want to know your post-graduation goals, right? What do you plan to do with the degree that you get from Penn State? Are you going to work for the United Nations? Do you want to work for local nonprofits that have global impact? Do you want to move to Europe and work for organizations there, or the International Criminal Court or the International Court of Justice, or these types of things? And then how does Penn State fit in between your motivation and your goals? How does Penn State get you from just being motivated to turning your motivation into a tangible reality? And that's where you can begin to explain to us, it's because of this professor, that class, these opportunities. I like your career attainment rate. Your alumni seem really awesome. Again, do your homework and tell us, how does Penn State take you from motivation to a realized outcome? Again, 600, 800 words, more is better than less, but don't write us a book, please. We also want you to tell your authentic story. We don't want you to tell someone else's story. We don't want you to tell your parents' story unless it fits into your life very intimately, of course. We want to know you. What do you want to do, and why do you want to do it, and why do you want to come to Penn State? And this leads me kind of into a future point, but we want to know your authentic story, especially with the advent of AI, large language models, and generative AI. We really don't want you to rely on AI to tell your story. We want you to tell it. And I'll talk about this here in a second. Finally, you want to reread, edit, rinse, and repeat. Read over, give yourself three revisions, read over your statement of purpose, make sure it sounds professional, it flows logically, there are very minimal grammar and spelling mistakes. Read over it a few different times. Also, have a trusted colleague, friend, or mentor or advisor read over your statement of purpose as well to make sure that they are reading it. Sometimes having a second or third set of eyes really makes sure that what you're writing is very sound and professional. All right, here are some do nots. Do not copy and paste your statement of purpose from other programs. We can really tell over the years, we've read many of these, that students who copy and paste from one program to another just really aren't serious about Penn State specifically. This is why we want you to write your statement of purpose for us from scratch. Again, you're probably going to apply to a bunch of different schools and you're looking to, make more time for yourself and not write all of these essays, but I promise it'll go a long way if you don't copy and paste from other programs, because we really can tell. This is also why we want you to include specific information about our program so we know that you're writing an authentic piece and not copying and pasting. Also, sometimes, and trust me, we've seen this hundreds of times, folks will forget to delete the program name from the other institution and include Penn State. And that's a big red flag, and you don't want to do that. And not for us, you definitely don't want to do it for any other program as well. Do not plagiarize. This includes the use of artificial intelligence, ChatGPT, Gemini, Copilot, all the other ones out there. One, don't go to statementofpurpose.com and have someone write a statement of purpose for you. If you can believe it, it exists. The reason why we don't want you to do that is because we will check for plagiarism, and if it does come up as plagiarized, you do face the risk of denial. It is likely that we will deny your application if it is plagiarized. The other piece of this is the AI piece. Again, we just want to know you. AI does a really bad job of knowing who you are and how to properly express your aspirations. So please make sure that you write in your own words what you want to do with your life. Now, you can use AI to help generate ideas, to maybe spell and grammar check if you'd like, but do not copy and paste directly from ChatGPT into your statement of purpose. It's just not a good look, and we're starting to kind of catch an eye for that as well. If it's too good to be true, it's probably written by AI. Do not write too little as well. Don't write 500 words. Don't write 450 words. Really give yourself the opportunity to speak to who you are and your motivations. Don't copy and paste your statement of purpose into the text box. There are two options to upload your statement of purpose for our program. You can put it in a text box, which looks really bad because there's no HTML editor. You can't create paragraphs. It doesn't look professional. And then the other way is to upload as a PDF. PDF looks really professional. It's clean. It's easier to read. So we want to ensure, please upload any other materials that can't logically be inserted into the application themselves through text box. Upload them as PDFs. That'll go a long way for you. All right, the next piece is the resume and CV. Again, please put your questions in the Q&A box. We'll get to those. Christy's answering those as we go, and I can answer some at the end as well. So the resume or CV, they provide a summary of your experience and skills to the admissions committee. The resume is a little different than the CV. The resume is a shorter version. It does not include everything and anything that you've ever done, whereas the CV more or less includes everything and anything that you've ever done. It's less tailored than a resume. The CV really is just a summary of all that you've done that does have some relevance to what you're applying to. Both should be tailored to the specific program you're applying to. We require a resume at the very least. Here you definitely want to tailor it, and I'll give you an example here in a second of what we would kind of more or less be looking for in a resume should you apply to our program. Resumes are more tailored because if you're applying to a graduate school program that's asking for a resume, you're going to want to make sure your education is at the top, and then some work experience, professional volunteer experience, publications, if that's necessary, will kind of trickle down the page. At this rate, because you're applying to graduate school, we're not so concerned about the one-page resume. Please include anything and everything that is relevant to an international affairs degree on your resume. The resume or CV should create a great first impression that you are the best qualified candidate. That's why with the resume, you want to make sure that the relevant stuff is at the top. And know that we're human beings. The admissions committee is human beings. We may not read word for word every single thing you put on your resume. It really just is a scan through to make sure that you're qualified, that you have the requisite education, that you have some great some professional volunteer leadership experience. But we're not kind of picking it apart exactly. So that's why you want to create a really good first impression and put the most important stuff at the top. And you'll hear this throughout, any career talk or any job talk or anything like that as well. All right. Now I want to go through what I think is a pretty solid example of a resume that we would find to be pretty good. No resume is perfect. At some point, you just have to submit your application. So don't spend an eternity on making everything perfect, because it won't be. But this is good enough to get the point across. And there are some areas that I will explain more in depth as we go along. So first, you can see here that the emphasis is placed on professional experience and skills. That is the purpose of a resume. Now, for a graduate education, of course, when you're applying to us, you can see here education is at the top, and then there are some other educational, supplemental educational attributes to this person before we get to the professional experience. But really, the internships, professional experience, is important, particularly for a resume, and you want to make sure that those are closer to the top and not at the bottom under activities or skills. A resume is more concise than a CV. We don't need long, drawn out paragraphs. This is really just bullet points of action items that you've done, skills that you've earned throughout your time at these various activities and experiences. So make sure that you're just keeping it short, sweet, and to the point. But also, there's a fine line, a balance of short, sweet, to the point, but enough information to make it worth putting on your resume. When you include a resume in a graduate school application, again, your education should be at the top because that's the first and foremost thing that will qualify you for a graduate degree anyway. You can't get the graduate degree without a bachelor's degree. If you need to include relevant coursework for graduate applications, you can. I would say if you have a degree that is well aligned with international affairs or traditionally a stepping stone into international affairs like political science or history or any social sciences, humanities, these types of things, you don't need to include relevant coursework. Why? Because it's inherent that you have already a foundation in the social sciences and humanities, and we don't necessarily need to see that. It's just kind of already implied. Know your audience. Know that the admissions committee knows what they're talking about and knows our degree program and some of the undergraduate degree programs out there. Now, if you have a heavily, STEM degree, engineering, accounting, business, and you want to let the admissions committee know that you did take some political science classes, international relations classes, I think that would be totally reasonable to include a relevant coursework section on your resume. Again, the resume does require more tailoring to the program in which you're applying. So make sure that you're including relevant information, relevant publications if you have any. We're really not super concerned about publications per se, but if you have a relevant one that you think is flashy and you really want to put it on there, that's your prerogative. Feel free to put that on there. Internships, we would say probably any internship is relevant. Experience or skills, I would say you can put those on there as well. As far as skills go, at this point, I think it's pretty obvious everyone knows how to use Microsoft Word and the Microsoft Office suite and the Google Documents suite or whatever they're called. You don't necessarily need to put those on there, but hey, maybe you know R, maybe you know Stata, or other regression analysis tools or ArcGIS or something like that. Feel free to put those on there as well. But I would say it's probably more important to showcase where you learn those skills, not that you just have them. So did you learn R or ArcGIS at an internship? Great. Figure out a way to put that into the description of your internship as opposed to just saying, I randomly have these skills. A resume will probably be necessary for professional graduate degree programs such as ourselves. A CV is a bit too long. It's a bit too much information. It includes if you've spoken at research conferences. It's not super important to us. Again, publications may be important to you, not super duper important to us unless it's like extremely relevant and flashy. So just keep all of these things in mind. Again, always upload as a PDF. Don't put it in the text box. If you do that, your resume will look really, really bad, and we won't be able to read it. And honestly, we'll probably just skip over it. It may result in a denial of your application. You also want to keep your resume professional with minimal to no mistakes. One thing I love about this resume is that every sentence does not include a period. That's fine. But if one sentence does include a period and the rest don't, maybe you should include a period at every sentence. So just keep everything uniform. Also, I love how the margins are all the same. The expected graduation May 2010 and spring 2009 are right justified the same across the or down the page. Keeping these things very professional looking and buttoned up and tailored is actually really, really nice. So make sure that your resume looks super professional. All right, let's move into letters of recommendation. And again, feel free to throw some questions in there about our program, our application, or anything else as we go. So for us, we do need 2 recommendations. Many programs will ask for 2 or 3 recommendations. For us, we just need 2. We do highly suggest that you have at least 2, that you have 2 faculty members write letters of recommendation, but at the very least, 1 faculty recommendation or professor is fine. Many of you probably, or some of you rather, have probably been graduated for quite some time and lost contact with faculty members and professors. That's totally okay. If you have a supervisor from a relevant job that you can ask to write you a letter of recommendation, go ahead and ask them as well. Faculty members should be able to speak to your ability to take on graduate level work. Supervisors at a relevant internship or job would probably be able to more or less speak to your ability to work in a team, handle competing priorities with deadlines that are the same. And your character, your ability to work in a team, these types of things. So have a conversation with them and tell them what we're looking for, and that'll be important as well. Your recommendation should be able to speak to the following: your ability to work well with others, your ability to take on graduate work, and we would really like to see examples of projects that support this claim. And your drive, determination, and motivation for higher learning, including what you want to do with this degree. So what does that mean? That means sit down with your recommenders, your potential recommenders, maybe buy them a cup of coffee if you'd like, and really, let them know why you're doing this. And I think some of the best letters of recommendation often are from faculty members or supervisors that say, this person is super passionate about this because they always talk to me about it, and I'm super excited to be able to support their application. Here's why they're qualified. Here's some examples of why they're qualified. Please admit them into your program. So those are some of the best letters of recommendation we read, as opposed to there are sometimes letters of recommendation that come through where so-and-so applicant just reached out to me via email, and sometimes recommenders will do this. This is why I'm saying have a conversation with them, give them ample time. This person didn't really talk to me much, but they did okay in my class. It's hard for me to tell if they're qualified for graduate school, even though they got an A, because I don't really know them very well, but feel free to admit them anyway. Not a very strong letter of recommendation, and I'll be honest, we have seen these before. So again, I just highly recommend to build relationships with your professors, get to know them, do well in their classes, meet with them one-on-one, tell them why you're motivated, what you're motivated about, why you want to get this graduate degree, and that'll go a long way in getting a really, really good letter of recommendation. Talk to your possible recommenders now. We're 2 weeks away from the scholarship deadline. If you have not already talked to your recommenders, please, after this, pick up the phone, send an email, shoot them a text, whatever you need to do, go to their office, ask if they can write you a letter of recommendation. You don't have to have the actual application all figured out yet before you get their permission to write a letter for you. You can work on all of these things simultaneously. But we do recommend that you figure this out now because we want to see their letter come in by December 31st. Choose recommenders you have a good relationship with. You went to their office hours, you got an A in their class, they know you by name, you sat in the front row, you participated a lot, they like these types of things. All right, here are some additional tips for a successful application. This is kind of pretty much a recap, right? Don't forget that the deadline to apply to our program to be considered for generous merit-based scholarships is December 31st of this year. Don't wait to apply by late December. And the biggest reason for this is because you want to give your recommenders time. Now, we're in the middle of December already. So, do your best to schmooze your your recommenders to get them to submit the letter by the 31st. They won't get a link to submit their letter on your behalf until you submit the application. But once you hit submit application, so it's really incumbent upon you to get moving on this. At the time of application, you upload a copy of the official transcript to the application. Sometimes your universities will call this an unofficial transcript. What we can't accept is grade reports, score reports, advising transcripts, things like this. A copy of the official transcript is the official transcript that you touched, whether digitally or physically. Official transcripts will come through directly from your university to Penn State if you're admitted and decide to enroll. At the end of the application, we have supplemental essay questions. Please answer those thoroughly with great integrity and honestly. These are super important. Skipping these could result in a denial of your application. Upload all required documents as PDFs. This is extremely important. It's super professional, and it makes it a lot easier for us to navigate reading your application. The GRE is not required by us here at the School of International Affairs. If you have taken the GRE, please send them to Penn State using code 2660. This is also true for IELTS or any ETS test score that you want to send to us. When it comes to the GRE, if you don't take it, it can't hurt you, it can't hurt you. If you submit scores, it also will not hurt you. It can only help you. Whether you submit them or not is completely up to you, but it won't affect an admissions decision. However, it may help with scholarships. Historically, folks who have submitted GRE scores that are pretty good typically score higher in the scholarship categories, but it's not always true. So if you have really great GRE scores, but other areas of your application are pretty poor, you still may fall within like the median scholarship range. All right. International applicants, submit your English proficiency scores, TOEFL, using code 2660 or IELTS. Choose Penn State University from the British Council, portal. Do so as soon as possible so that we can begin to review your application. If you're already exempt based on Penn State standards, don't worry about this. Otherwise, there is no exemption process. You have to take TOEFL or IELTS. You want to also check the country eligibility list on our website to determine whether or not or what you need to submit at the time of application, whether it be transcripts in the native language and English or degree certificates and what languages you need to submit in that as well. All transcripts should be in English. Some of you will need to submit transcripts in the native language as well. And finally, I'm done. We're happy to answer your questions, so go ahead and put those in the Q&A. But we welcome you to connect with us, to go to our admissions page, to check out the eligibility criteria and everything you need to submit at the time of application. You can scan both QR codes to learn more, and we hope to see an application come from you very, very soon. And with that, we're going to go ahead and answer questions live, but go ahead and put those in the Q&A box, and we will get to those. Just to clarify, do you need official TOEFL scores at the time of application, or may an unofficial score be reported for now? Yeah, you can submit self-reported scores right now, but I would say the downside of doing that is that we cannot review your application and give you a decision until the official scores are in. You can have your scores sent to Penn State at any time using that code 2660, even if you have not submitted your application yet. Once the application is uploaded, the official scores will attach automatically. So, submit your scores now so that you don't have to wait. But we will not be able to provide an official admissions decision until the TOEFL scores in the official capacity are attached to your application. Will this be available on YouTube after the live event ends? Yes, we do have this and other best practices webinars on our YouTube channel. So if you don't want to wait for me to edit this down and upload it, we have archived ones already on there. Those are still relevant for fall 2026. Same information, different question and answers. You may get more out of the question and answers than this one, but yeah, check that out too. Does the application fee waiver apply to the law school? I'm interested in applying to the JD program, but I have not registered for the GRE. No, the application fee waiver does not apply to the law school. Even though we're in the same building, we are not the same program. So if you need assistance from them, please contact them directly. Different programs, different staff, different resources. So please reach out to them directly. If you are interested in the Joint Juris Doctorate Master of International Affairs program, though, our fee waiver will still apply to the Master of International Affairs side of that equation. You have to apply to both programs simultaneously, but separately. And so at the same time, but they're mutually exclusive of each other. You have to earn admission into both programs separately. You move through the JD MIA. You may not be asking about the JD MIA process, but I wanted to throw that out there in case you were not aware. Also, you're going to want to ask them about GRE. They may allow for GREs, but LSATs are probably better. Ask them. They know. Question coming in. How safe are international students since there are lots of stuff going on here in the United States? I'm thinking about this a lot. Does Penn State protect students? Very valid concerns. Of course, there's a lot going on in the U.S. right now. Without getting too deep into all of it, one thing I would say is that Penn State is one of the top institutions, even over the past couple of years, for international student enrollment. We're a top 20 institution in the United States for international students. We have over 9,000 international students here at Penn State University. One thing I also like to say is that, and you can check this, you can fact check this on QS, topuniversities.com. I believe the US News and World Report Global Rankings will provide this information. This is multi-layered. So Penn State is kind of geographically sequestered from the world. We're 2.5, 3 hours from the closest major city: Philadelphia, Pittsburgh, Washington, D.C., New York City. It's a very rural area, although the State College area is kind of its own small little metropolis. It's really just your quintessential college town. It's super safe. It's one of the safest places to live. That's not bias. That's based on fact. It's a nice place to live. Now that is bias, but I will say that that this area is quite safe. And Penn State is, again, just a really great place for international students, especially because it's not sitting in a major city where anything and everything could kind of happen, which is true for any city around the world. A bit of a short answer to your question. I hope that does help and calm some nerves. All right. I understand that applying to a master's program in international relations may require knowledge of a foreign language. There are foreign language courses offered so that I can prepare before entering the program. Also, will I have the ability to choose which language to study? What I would say is there are a group of students that enter our program knowing multiple languages or a language other than their native language. You know, if English is the native language, they know at least one other language, maybe not fluently, but at least at an intermediate proficiency level. Some students come into our program just knowing English, full stop. So, with that being said, we do have a language proficiency requirement. You must meet intermediate proficiency here at Penn State in order to graduate. That is the fourth level of whatever language you choose. Spanish is a very popular option just across the board. So you would have to take Spanish 1 through Spanish 4 in order to meet that requirement. If you've taken Spanish 2 and 3 up through Spanish 3, for example, in your undergrad, you come to Penn State, take Spanish 4, pass it, and you're good to go. There are plenty of languages that you can take here. All of the typical ones: French, German, Spanish. There's Arabic, Russian, Mandarin, Korean, Japanese, I think Hindi sometimes, Turkish sometimes, Hebrew sometimes. There's Latin even if you'd like. So there are a bevy of languages that you can study. You don't need to have another language prior to coming into Penn State. You can learn the language here if you'd like, and through study abroad, you can just further develop those skills. Is there any data available on career placements specifically for international students after the MIA? We treat every student here the same, so we don't necessarily compartmentalize domestic, international students and their job placement rates. We have a career attainment rate of 93.6% in meaningful employment within 1 year of graduating our program. Many students are getting jobs lined up in their final year, final semester. So when they graduate, they're not like waiting around. And as far as like publicly available data, what I can say is go to Foreign Affairs, the graduate forum on foreignaffairs.com. And we do actually have some data available on that website that you can see in our profile. So if you look up Penn State School of International Affairs in the graduate forum, you'll see some statistics as far as the sectors people are going into, which I hope will help. Do language courses count in the GPA? They do not. The reason they don't is because they are too low of a level for the graduate school to recognize. Not that you will be shortchanged on the language, but these are typically undergraduate level courses. The numbering system, it's more of a administrative and logistical process than an academic problem. So that's why the GPA does not count in the language course. GPA does not count in your overall GPA. More information than you asked for, but there it is. All right. Any other questions for us today? Thank you so much for the engagement. This has been really good, but I don't want to run off here if there are any lingering questions. Okay. Well, appreciate your time and attention. This has been really great. Please reach out to us at any time with questions. We're happy to help. Hope to see an application come from you very, very soon. And have a